Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Check Me. Of course, I had to pop on here after the Eagles game. I want to talk about this when we got over the Baltimore Ravens. We came into M&T Bank Stadium and came out victorious with a 24-19 win over the Ravens. I want to start off by saying this, though. One of the biggest flaws I see in people is they let their bias cloud their logic and wisdom. They also let their bias disregard uh, factual information. Um, if people really thought the Eagles were fraud, um, people thought the Eagles were fraud. They didn't watch football. They don't know football, um, and you you can't have a wise opinion about what's going to happen if you don't involve yourself in finding the truth. So those people are idiots. When I say it, all right, those people are dummies, right? Don't be a dummy. But you can definitely tell when the Eagles came to Baltimore. First of all, whether win or lose, the Eagles weren't fraud. I want to first say that win or lose, the Eagles aren't fraud coming into this game. The Eagles played some tough teams, but they played well. How they looked and how they won games, you can see they did things not necessarily methodically, but they did things and they won games with having not played their best game. The Ravens are a tough team. I expect us to see the Ravens again in the Super Bowl. I didn't expect Justin Tucker to miss that many kicks. What does that mean? That really shows our defense. Now, if Tucker makes his 3 kicks, they still lose this game. But I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, they if he makes 3 kicks, it's a different game. But all right, what does that say about our defense? Our defense played well without our top corner in the game. We played well against a team that was the best offense. We stopped Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry had 82 yards on the ground. Outside that big 40-yard run with Lamar Jackson, he really only had 40 yards on the ground as well too. We did very well contain. Now, Rashad Bateman was out. The Eagles did a very good job of containing an offense that is one of the best offenses. He was saying one of the best offenses we've seen in football. Now, I don't agree with that because they don't have the receiving core. But football and the NFL is a game of matchups. Why does a Baltimore Ravens team lose against a Steelers team that's high? Why does a Baltimore Ravens team lose to a Cleveland team that's not high? It's about matchups, and we can't just look at player versus player, team versus team. We have to look at small, integral things that make a huge difference. Well, large in this case. Vic Fangio does not like Harbaugh, right? They had a situation where Baltimore wanted to get a rushing record while Vic Fangio was a Denver head coach. They beat. So Vic came to this game. Our defensive coordinator came to this game very prepared. He came prepared for an offense that was designed to beat Lamar Jackson. And you have to think about the mind of the players, the mind that the coach has instilling the players to prepare for this. Staying disciplined in your zones, getting interior pass rush, containment. These are things to take a look at when it comes to how Lamar Jackson has played this year, how he's evolved, and thinking that the defensive coordinator had set in place. This game was won by our defense, but it was orchestrated amazing by Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts was pretty much for the first half. Saquon was they stopped him, but Jalen Hurts, one thing he did not turn the ball over or make a mistake. Right, that's the big thing. The second thing is this: he made the throws knowing that your top receiver is down. Now, if we have Smitty, we're seeing too high. It's a different game. Right? We're seeing too high quarters, palms, cloud coverage. We're seeing a lot more complex zone coverages that are more favorable for Saquon to run in the box. Saquon's a great player and is one of our superstars, but he's not the best player on our team. We have 4 best players on offense. Our best player is on defense, Jalen Carter. He's a one-man wrecking crew. We stole him in the draft. N'Kobe Dean, Nolan Smith, this Georgia defense is starting to come together that we're seeing come to life. Jordan Davis rotating in on first and second down, stopping the run. They start taking Jordan Davis out a little bit more because his pass rush that's something he needs to work on. But a well-orchestrated game. We had Dallas Goedert step up. We didn't necessarily have possession of the ball. You got to think in the third quarter, our defense pretty much was on the field most of the time. and only gave up 3 points in the second half. Oh well, 7 point. And, that's the last touchdown of the game. Pretty much 3 points the whole second half. But Jalen Hurts, he did what he was supposed to do. And we're not just saying Jalen Hurts is a game manager, right? It's not the fact he's a game manager. Jalen Hurts won the game from his decision making in the pocket, being patient, allowing things to develop, working with Cam Surgeons and understanding the front. These are things that I mentioned in the first half of the year that were growing pains, but would be beneficial towards the end of the season. We're going to see who we are. Now, this Ravens team is not a bad team. I expect this team to get it together. They just came across a bunch of teams that enjoy to play football. I mean, other than the Steelers, they came across matchups where coaches designed things specifically for Lamar. This is why you see teams with better coaches or better defensive coordinators do well against Lamar Jackson. The Ravens aren't in a bad spot. I mean, they have the Giants. I say they beat the Steelers, the Texans, and the Browns. Their last 4 games are winnable. But for the Eagles, our schedule does start to get a little bit, not say easier for us. We got the Panthers. I think we take the Steelers. That's going to be a tough game for us. The Commanders and the Cowboys. I do see us losing maybe 1 or 2 games, depending on. We have 5 more games actually, and the Giants again. So we're in a good spot. But to say the Eagles aren't fraud, you have to understand when people are making decisions about small things, sports. You have to really look at their logic and their thought process of how they make those decisions when it comes to great things in their life. So, everyone who's saying the Eagles were fraud, imagine sitting at home wanting the Eagles lose because of your insecurity as a man is blinding your wisdom and your knowledge to understand the truth. And most people who I hate to say it, who go off of these things, they probably got a parlay. They're probably going off hate. You got to take hate out of the situation and look at what's actually happening from the perspective of the player. So Eagles did very, very well. I once again, I'm impressed with Jalen Hurts this year. Without Devontae Smith to go into M&T Bank and win, knowing that you're going to see a lot of complex coverages from the defensive coordinator. What's his name? Brandon Orr, what his name was for the Ravens. But this is the win is we don't celebrate. We celebrate wins like these, but the celebration is the Super Bowl. This is the ultimate goal. It's the Super Bowl. Now, if we don't get there, hey, look, it's going to suck. But I think this is the year we have to go far. And I think the Eagles have that mentality of hey, look, we've been here before. We started 10-2 the last 10-1 the last or 10 games, and 10-2 since the last couple of seasons. And we have to make sure that we live this thing out towards the end of the season where we crumbled last year and we lost Super Bowl a year previously before. So we're in a good spot. We have to continue to build on this and let this snowball effect. So hopefully get a first round bye and we get a favorable matchup. I don't think Detroit is real. People are probably looking at me and saying that oh Seth, you're just being naive. And I said this about Washington. Washington has only one win against a winning team with a winning record. Right? They won the games they're supposed to win, but they're losing the games. They lose the games that are the tough wins. Washington hasn't beat these teams outright, but how they won the games is what we look at. Once again, their offense is designed around Washington, around Cliff Kingsbury and his thought process, not developing Jaden Daniels. If we look at the schedule for the Detroit Lions, they played the Cardinals, the Seahawks, the Cowboys. They beat a Vikings team last second. Titans, Packers. We beat the Packers. Texans, Jaguars, Colts, Bears. We're going to see who they are when they play the Packers again. We're going to see who they are when they play the Bills. We can say, I think that those are the 2 games we're going to really determine who the Detroit Lions are. This Packers game is going to be a big one. I think it's Sunday night? It's a Sunday night game or a Thursday night game? Oh wow! Oh yeah! Oh wow! We get Packers. We get Packers Detroit now. So I think the Eagles right now, the way we're playing, how we're operating, I think we are a lot stronger than the Detroit Lions. But nobody wants to admit that about the Eagles because people hate on the Eagles, and this is what it is. But that clouds their judgment and really understanding the game. So I think we'll have our way. Our front is better than Detroit's front. I think we have better skill players as well too. I like the idea of having the Eagles against Detroit Lions secondary, which are very very handsy. They can't defend you without grabbing you. That's not going to help you in a close watch game or against a better receiver. So I'm excited to see if we are in a collision course with Detroit. But the teams I'm afraid of are the Buccaneers. I like the way the Saints are moving. And the Packers really, I think if they get a couple things squared away when it comes to getting Jordan Love mature throughout the game, I think that's one thing that I think the Packers will be a strong team that we'll face as well.